Got a dopamine rush, got a major league crush when you're next to me. Got my heart upon my sleeve, can I hide the way I feel when you're next to me, girl? Got the kick in every move and I fought just like a fool for you, for you. Wish I knew just what it was, but why should I make a fuss? Just stay next to me, girl, next to me, girl. Something special, don't know why, something special that I like about you, about you. There's a mystery entwined, something bigger to define about you, about you. Am I the only one to see? Got me down on my knees, taken by your gravity. And I just know you got that something, something special about you. Got me under lock and key, but I don't wanna be free when I'm next to you. You're like honey to a bee, I go crazy for the sweet when I'm next to you, girl. Got the kick in every move and I fall just like a fool for you, for you. It might seem that I'm dumb, but it's you that's got me stunned. Stay next to me, girl, next to me, girl. Something special, don't know why, something special that I like about you, about you. There's a mystery entwined, something bigger to define about you, about you. Am I the only one to see? Got me down on my knees, taken by your gravity. And I just know you got that something, something special about you. You got it down, shake my ground, and I can't get enough, got me spellbound. And every day, in every way, I just know there's something about you. Something special, don't know why, something special that I like about you, about you. There's a mystery entwined, something bigger to define about you, about you. Am I the only one to see? Got me down on my knees, taken by your gravity. And I just know you got that something, something special about you. Got a dopamine rush, got a major league crush when you're next to me. Got my heart upon my sleeve, can I hide the way I feel when you're next to me, girl? Got the kick in every move and I fought just like a fool for you, for you. Wish I knew just what it was, but why should I make a fuss? Just stay next to me, girl, next to me, girl. Something special, don't know why, something special that I like about you, about you.
Hi everyone, Amber Duggar here. This live is all about forgiveness. And before we jump into that, I wanted to share something that I learned earlier this week that is totally not related to money, but it may be related to saving you some money. I am not a huge makeup person, but I do love to use a little BB cream, and I have learned over the years through the wonderful people at Ulta that makeup brushes are a really good thing for when you put on foundation and BB cream. So some of you are probably, this is not going to be relevant, but others, this may change your life. So I want to share this first. So I have heard, you need to wash your makeup brushes, and I have really struggled with doing this. Like I've tried with soap in my bathroom, and it just never seems to get off. And if anyone's watching the replay or you're watching now and you can relate, please let me know in the comments, because it was getting so gross. And then so I would go and I'd ask my husband, when you're passing by, can you buy another thing of this exact BB cream? And then can you also just ask them for a relevant brush and they'll give you the right brush? So he would go and do that for me. I love my husband. He's amazing. So I would do this and then I would get a new brush and it's always like $20. I'm like, why do I have to keep buying these brushes when we're supposed to be able to clean them, but I can't clean them? Well, someone followed me on Instagram a couple days ago, and I typically try to, look at the person's account and engage and connect and things like that. And this person was she had a business in beauty, and her most recent reel was all about cleaning makeup brushes. And so, if you are watching, I'd love to know what you think that tip is, because I had no idea and I don't know why I didn't think about this before. Well, we see all those commercials for Dawn soap. Well, apparently it is the miracle worker for your makeup brush. So I took my makeup brush and I followed her instructions. And what you're supposed to do, this is the thing that really makes a difference. I'm going to pretend this is my makeup brush. You put the Dawn soap in here and then you go like this to really work it out. And you do this, I had not cleaned my brush in a while, so it took me a lot longer than I think it would normally take. But it looks brand new. It's amazing. I will not have to go and buy a makeup brush now. So if you had never heard of this and had always wondered, now you know. And if you didn't, we'll move right back on into our next topic. So every time that I go walking, I feel really called to just, I follow my intuition. So sometimes it's listening to a podcast. Sometimes it's leaving my phone. Other times it's listening to Indel, which is an app that I use for binaural beats. But this morning, I actually was listening to a podcast that someone had sent me last year. And for whatever reason, it was the podcast I was meant to listen to today. And it was a Mel Robbins podcast. She had a psychic medium on, and she was talking about everyone can access this intuition. And so while I was listening to that, what I kept receiving was, today we really need to talk about forgiveness. And specifically forgiveness around money. And if there was one thing that the universe wanted us to know, it is about how to truly step into the energy of forgiveness and how much abundance can come to us from really being in the spirit of forgiveness. So before we can forgive anyone else, it's so important to first go within and see what we are currently actually being hard on ourselves about. And I have worked with thousands of people in the money subject, and money is related to everything else that we ever care about in life. So I've heard a lot of different stories around the shame and the guilt and the fear and the frustration and the just pressure that we can feel around money. And I'm so grateful to be honored to hear these stories and for individuals to have so much courage to be vulnerable to share these stories. And the number one thing is they think they're the only ones feeling this. And so I want to encourage you that if you have ever felt anything like that around money, or maybe you're currently feeling something like that around money, that you know that you're not alone. You're not alone. And we've lived in a society where money is a taboo subject, speaking about money, talking about money, yet it is absolutely in every thread of our lives. And so it creates this juxtaposition of, how do I navigate this, especially if we're not even talking about it in school? So thanks to you, we are breaking down that barrier and we are talking about money. And we are not only talking about money, but we're seeing people every day in the process of healing their relationship with money. And the very first thing that we must do when we want to heal our relationship with money is start to just become more aware of our current relationship with money. So when we are, what does that mean, right? Like, Amber, what the heck does that mean? I use it, I spend it, I make it. Well, it's really about just being observant of your thoughts and behaviors around money, around what your thoughts are when you're spending it, when you're receiving it, when you're asking for it. And that can be a really beautiful starting place. Now, in Profit for Keeps, we have, I've called it the gateway of awareness for our relationship with money for a long time, because I see that happening. People start actually paying attention to money and focusing on creating a practical, more masculine, energetic system around money. And that then is the container for the feminine to come in. And that's where we have more of the subconscious patterns and the money paradigms and things like that. So our very first thing is just being aware and understanding that we have a relationship with this energy, and it's a neutral energy. That's the first thing. The second thing is anytime we have a thought that comes up that is derogatory or negative or full of shame or regret or frustration, that we give ourselves an opportunity to feel that emotion. It is so important to just address it. Don't push it down. Don't feel embarrassed that you're even feeling it. I want you to consider to actually sit with that emotion and just accept that that is what you're feeling in that very moment. That acceptance is the predecessor to allowing yourself to be in a vibration of forgiveness. This forgiveness piece is to allow you to fill your heart with love, to be able to make decisions from your heart, to be able to start to see that everything that has led up to this very point does not need to be what you do in the future, that you can make new decisions with new information that you have at hand, and that all of your decisions up until this point have been really good ones. Because I don't know a single person who is just with full love and intention attempting to sabotage every decision in their life. That's just not what we're doing. We are here with the best intentions, wanting to make a great impact in this world. And impact is directly tied to revenue, is directly tied to prosperity. And so what that means is when we can really step into an intention of focusing on how many hearts can I touch today? For anyone watching right now, I had you in my mind. I had you in my heart. I was thinking of you before I even came on this live today when I was walking. And I was just saying to myself, please lead me to the conversation that will affect someone in a positive way today. And that is such a beautiful, exciting thing because we can feel that right now. Right now we can say, yes, we're going to make a difference in someone's day. Now, I was supposed to have someone on today live. I have a really dear friend who is driving in from Phoenix. She lives on the road. She completely built out this RV. And I met her back in 2017 in Manhattan. And I was really looking forward to introducing you, but maybe we'll do a pre-recorded thing or something, and then I'll post it. But I wanted you to meet her because she has truly gone through these incredible transitions in her life and has allowed herself to really blossom into what she needs in this stage of her life. And she built out this entire RV. It's incredible. She has her dogs with her. She works remotely. She was actually working in Gallup this morning. And then she's driving here now, and we're going to go for a walk later, and then we're going to make a really nice halibut dinner. And if you're watching now, you know what we're having for dinner. But it is so important that you have this forgiveness piece in order to be able to expand into this beautiful awareness of enjoying your life. And Tanya is enjoying her life. She is expanding and making an impact, and she is living this beautiful, free, and lovely life on her terms. And before I left corporate, it was anything but that. It was exhausting. I was so exhausted. And I have fully and completely forgiven myself for all of those decisions that led me to that point in corporate, because there was no reason for me to be anything but there, because it gave me an opportunity to understand how beautiful this life that I have now is. I wake up every morning with gratitude. I wake up every morning with a feeling of excitement. I truly do. And it's because I know I have absolute autonomy on what I'm doing each morning, whether it's having my coffee first, or going for a walk first, or meditating, or going outside and bouncing on my rebounder in the sunshine while I read my divine feminine activation. There are all these different things that I now have the opportunity to do because I chose to step into the most uncomfortable place, which was leaving corporate and starting my own thing. But that required additional time and time again forgiving myself for getting frustrated or getting upset or having scarcity thoughts or wondering, am I going to have to go back to corporate? All of these things we can think, or we can think about. I have clients that have said, oh, I named my Amex a naughty Amex because that is when we didn't have any money and we had to put all of our groceries on that Amex. Well, just imagine, the energy and everything that's involved when we decide that it's a negative thing. Well, could you imagine going through something like that and not having the opportunity to use the Amex? Then we're facing a dire situation, right? No food. Just take that in for a moment. Think of a time when you feel that you are irresponsible with money, but then what that actually brought you. It was either a lesson or it was a resource. And the documentation of lessons are so, so key. I'm even doing this in my sewing journey. I'm learning how to sew. I just finished 6 placemats today. I had to bind all 6 placemats. Now, if you are a sewist or if you quilt, you understand binding. It looks like it's just like the last little bit. No, it's like a third of the project. It took me 10 days to bind these 6 placemats because I was learning. I was learning how to make the binding. I was learning how to apply the binding, how to tack it on the back if I wanted to actually tack it hand sewing, or if I want to use my machine. And every single placemat, I learned something I didn't know from the last one. And I thought, this would be really fun to actually keep in a little journal all the lessons that I learned. And the incredible amount of patience, I'm just shocked at the amount of patience I have for myself with this. Because 2 years ago, I would have been so frustrated with this, I probably would have given up. And there's something about a place that I'm in now in my life where that patience is now very beautifully here. And I see it as an opportunity every time I messed up. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. I would now learned that I need to do it this way. Okay. And my seam ripper was my best friend. So it's possible to step into this and just remind yourself when you are feeling frustrated with yourself or you're having negative thoughts around money, just even give yourself forgiveness that you're doing that. Give yourself forgiveness and be aware of that, because that's how we expand and grow. Now, what's funny is I sat down because I wanted to talk about forgiveness, and I have 2 copies of this book, The Law of Divine Compensation. Okay, who here has seen this? I can't see who you are because I think you have to click the link in the post of this event, but whoever this is says, I felt the same leading up to leaving my government job after 20 years to do something else. I know, isn't that amazing? That's amazing that you left your government job. I'm totally getting sidetracked, but I'm going to tell you a quick little anecdote about that. Before I left corporate, I had switched from government contracting headquarters overhead, like I was in a really great position in pricing, and I was moved on to a government contract in DC. It was way, way overpaid for what I was doing. And everything was lining up for me to have this job if I wanted it permanently in the federal government, which is in many ways in the DC area what many people want. It's like a great steady income. And I just knew deep down I wasn't supposed to do this. And it wasn't if it wasn't for this really horrendous boss that I had, and I say that with truth, not judgment, I would probably not be doing this. I would be there. And I'm so grateful that she really didn't like me because I'm here now. So I'm curious where you were in your government job, but I don't see your name, so I can't say your name. However, okay, so back to this book. Who here has read this book or listened to this book? I got this on Amazon because I wish my name were Patricia. It's signed, and I thought, how fun is that? So I got a signed copy of this. But I always do bibliomancy with this, and I use Audible sometimes to make that happen. But today I just picked this up, and this is what came up. Let's see if I can get this. This is hard. It's like mirrored. The ego, or fear mind, is the false belief that we are separate from God. Now, this is not a religious conversation. However, it is spiritual. And this brings me to thinking about what I learned in Happier Than God by Neale Donald Walsch, which is one of my favorite books of all time. And it very much talks about how we are all souls connected in this human experience on this earth. Okay? And so when we're looking at transcending fear, it's really, really important to recognize that fear is just the impact or the result of us being here on earth and having a human body and an ego. And the ego is to help us in this 3D experience. It's not a bad thing, okay? It's a really important piece to being able to thrive here. And when we are wanting to listen to our intuition, that's when we want to let go of the ego mind and to let go of the fear-based mind and do the thing that we're feeling so strongly about, even if it does not make sense logically. So with money, the same thing can happen. I'm going to give you an example. In January, I was facing a major abdominal surgery. And I did not have really good health insurance. I had a health savings plan that was catastrophic coverage, and they didn't have to cover my surgery. We were looking at around $150,000 worth of medical bills at minimum. And I was also facing some other things, which thank goodness, I'm definitely on the mend, but it was a really interesting time to be in the spirit of everything happens for us. But I still promised myself to stay in that vibration. I let myself have one day where I was really, really honestly scared. I was on the bathroom floor crying, and I just allowed myself to feel it, and I allowed myself to just be in it, because we are in this 3D world, and it is a scary thing to face a life-threatening thing. And so once I did that, I started thinking about how I was going to navigate this and what I was going to do and the thoughts that I was going to have and the resources I was going to call in. And whenever the money part came up, I said with absolute expectation and certainty that it would be figured out. In the same vein as if you were driving through Starbucks and you ordered your coffee and you get to the window, you expect to get what you ordered, right? This is the same kind of expectation. I just knew that it would be figured out, and I would say that. It's going to be figured out. Well, some that may be watching this may know this story already, but this is pretty amazing. So, I had just paid my surgeon thousands of dollars. I had come home. I'd found out that what we thought it might be most likely wasn't, which was a really good thing. And I ended up calling my best friend, and we were talking and sharing the news, and I just was telling her the same way, like, oh yeah, we're going to figure out the money thing. It'll come in some way. And my husband comes into the room, and he says, I'm sorry to interrupt your conversation, but I have some very lucrative news. I said, lucrative news? Like, what? Did we win the lottery or something? And he says, kinda. Well, it turns out that as a retired military officer, he is eligible for TRICARE, which is a very good medical insurance. And as his spouse, I also am eligible. So not only was I eligible, it was retroactive to his birthday of November of 2023. I had my first appointment after waiting 3 months, by the way, on December 9th. So there's a reason that the appointment took until December 9th because it was covered. There was a reason that I just had this certainty that it was going to be figured out because it was. And I ended up paying, I think, $50 for my surgery. This is an example of letting go of the fear-based mind and having the expectation that it will work out. Because as long as it's in the highest good of everybody involved, it will. So this transcending fear piece in chapter 9 of this book, it's basically saying things don't happen to you, it's happening for you. Because when it's happening for you, it's happening for everyone else because we are all one. Does that make sense? So I want you to just know that no matter what happens in your life, that we are always here signing up to either learn a lesson or to experience something really beautiful or to deepen relationships. And so this ego is a really important piece to keep us alive here on this earth while we are here in the human experience. But it's not meant to control us. And there are so many things that have really kept us from pursuing what we're meant to pursue. And I believe that we're in a point right now in existence where many of us are waking up to this idea. And when you start to wake up to what you feel your real purpose is, and it may be something completely different than what you're doing right now, it comes along with the fear that we won't have money. It happened to me when I left my corporate job. And I'm here to tell you, and this is a seed that can be planted, that the money will come, that it will be there. We are divinely supported as long as we are listening to our intuition. And part of that is releasing our negative feelings around money and forgiving ourselves for any past actions or decisions or things that we did with money, and recognize that we do now have an opportunity to express grace, to express joy, to express gratitude in the moment. Right now, you have a device, you're watching this. That's a beautiful thing. You have the ability to communicate. You have the ability to hear or listen or read. Those are important things. So this is just a reminder that I want to encourage you to just think about the way you're talking with yourself and what you might be able to forgive yourself around money or around something else that may be related to it, and just see the miracles that follow. All right, well, my name is Amber Duggar. I have to jump on a client call in just a little bit, but if you have been considering doing a Profit for Keeps certification, we are about to start in just a little over a couple of weeks, and we have a couple of spaces left, and I would love to talk to you. So you can either comment here, you can send me a message, or you can send us an email at sayhello@amberduggar.com or support@amberduggar.com, and we will get you more information about that. All right, everyone, it was so good seeing you, and if you're watching the replay, leave any questions here and I'll get back to you. All right, much love, everybody. Bye.